The first body part showed up in Bob Harrison's truck on a Tuesday morning, wrapped in newspaper, buried under coffee grounds, like someone thought the garbage man wouldn't notice. They were wrong. Welcome to Unseen Heroes. Before we tell you how a garbage collector caught a serial killer the police couldn't find, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And if you believe heroes wear work boots instead of badges, hit that subscribe button. Bob had been driving truck 47 through Riverside for 12 years. Same route, same time, 5:30 a.m. sharp. Elm Street, Oak Avenue, Pine Road. 37 blocks of suburban peace where people left their doors unlocked and their secrets in garbage cans. At 58, Bob looked like any other city worker. Graying hair, weathered hands, same orange vest every day. The morning regulars barely noticed him. Mrs. Chun at 404 Elm, checking her bins were aligned. The Johnsons at 408 with their overstuffed containers. The college kids at 410 who forgot pickup day twice a month. They called him Garbage Bob when they called him anything at all. But they had no idea who was really collecting their trash. They had no idea that Garbage Bob had spent 25 years hunting the worst killers in America. FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit, Quantico, the unit that caught the Green River Killer, the Atlanta child murders, the Beltway snipers. Robert Harrison had profiled some of America's worst killers. 25 years of building psychological profiles that put 14 serial killers behind bars. But that was before the nightmares got too loud. Before crime scene photos followed him home. Before the bureau doctors said he needed extended leave that became permanent retirement. So he traded his badge for a garbage route. Same analytical mind, different kind of trash. Better to analyze coffee grounds and pizza boxes than blood spatter patterns and victim profiles. For 12 years, it had worked. The routine was therapeutic. The problems were simple. Missed pickups, broken bins, route efficiency. No dead bodies. No grieving families. No press conferences explaining why they couldn't catch the monster. Until March 15th changed everything. 412 Elm Street. Blue house with a broken mailbox that had been broken for 3 years. Single occupant, worked odd hours, kept to himself. Bob had emptied his bin exactly 312 times over the past 3 years. Never anything unusual. But this Tuesday morning was different. Bob lifted the bin like he had 1,000 times before. Same motion, same technique, same routine. But as the contents tumbled into the compactor, something caught his trained eye. Blood, not the brown rust of old stains. Fresh blood, bright red against white fabric. Women's clothing that didn't match the profile of the single male occupant. A torn blouse, expensive looking, part of a skirt, designer label visible through the stain. Bob stood frozen, holding that empty garbage bin while truck 47 idled behind him. 25 years of FBI training doesn't just disappear because you change careers. His mind automatically began cataloging details. Fabric appeared fresh, blood still bright red, indicating recent disposal. Clothing size suggested victim approximately 5 feet 4 inches to 5 feet 6 inches, slender build. Expensive brands indicated middle to upper middle class victim. Torn edges suggested violent removal, not consensual undressing. Keep moving, Harrison, he told himself. You're not FBI anymore. You're just the garbage man. But he couldn't stop his mind from working the evidence. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't someone disposing of their own bloody clothes after an injury. The victim profile didn't match the occupant. The disposal method showed knowledge of pickup schedules. This was evidence disposal by someone who understood law enforcement procedures well enough to know that garbage, once collected, disappears forever into landfills where it would never be found. Bob climbed back into truck 47, but his hands were shaking slightly as he shifted gears. He hadn't felt this feeling in 12 years. The moment when you realize you're looking at the beginning of something terrible. The next Tuesday, Bob approached 412 Elm with heightened awareness. Mrs. Chin's bins were aligned at 5:45 a.m. exactly as always. The Johnsons' overflowing containers spilled the usual debris. But when Bob reached the blue house with the broken mailbox, his worst fears were confirmed. More bloody clothing, this time with rubber gloves mixed in. Medical grade, the kind you order in bulk online. Disposable shoe covers, a torn piece of plastic sheeting. Someone wasn't just killing. They were organized about it. Methodical, experienced. Bob sat in his truck, staring at the evidence he'd just destroyed in the compactor. Every instinct screamed at him to call in. But what would he say? "Hi, detective, this is the garbage man. I think someone on my route is a serial killer based on what I found in their trash." They'd politely take his information and file it away. By the time they followed up, if they followed up, the killer would have changed disposal patterns. The investigation would go cold before it started. Bob needed more than suspicion. He needed proof. Oak Avenue, 17 minutes away. At 158 Oak, Bob found industrial bleach bottles. For empty gallons. Drain opener. Muriatic acid. Bob knew exactly what this meant. The Akron Acid Killer, 1987. The Cincinnati Cleaner, 1995. Chemical destruction of DNA evidence. Someone was sophisticated, organized, experienced. Pine Road was Bob's third and final stop in this section of his route. 28 houses, including 234 Pine, a modest ranch house where a quiet man lived alone. Night shift worker, always polite during their brief encounters. "Morning, Bob. Stay safe out there, Bob. Appreciate the good work, Bob." His trash told a different story. Women's jewelry, each piece wrapped carefully in tissue paper. Different styles, different price points, different sizes. A college ring from State University. A wedding band that looked expensive. A charm bracelet with a distinctive dolphin pendant. Like a collection. Like trophies. Bob pulled out his phone to call 911, then stopped. What evidence did he actually have? Bloody clothes could be explained away. Cleaning chemicals were common household items. Jewelry could be gifts, inheritance, legitimate purchases. Any decent defense attorney would tear apart his theory in minutes. "Your Honor, the prosecution's case is based on the speculation of a garbage collector who thinks he's still FBI." Bob needed more. He needed to build a case that would hold up in court. That night, Bob went to his basement and opened boxes he'd hoped never to touch again. FBI case files, behavior analysis textbooks, crime scene equipment. His wife, Carol, had been gone 8 years. The house felt empty, but the basement came alive with purpose. Bob spread a map of his route on the old ping-pong table. Red pins for Elm Street, blue for Oak Avenue, green for Pine Road. He drew connecting lines, analyzed the pattern. For 6 weeks, Bob became FBI again. He photographed evidence, documented patterns, researched missing persons reports. In his basement, he rebuilt the murder board from Quantico. May 18th, Bob found what he'd been dreading and hoping for simultaneously. A driver's license, partially melted but still readable. Sarah Martinez, age 28, brown hair, brown eyes, address listed as downtown Riverside. The woman who'd been missing for 3 weeks, her face plastered on every news channel and missing person poster in the tri-state area. Bob sat in his truck, staring at that damaged piece of plastic. Sarah Martinez wasn't missing anymore. She was dead, and her killer was someone on Bob's route, someone he'd been unknowingly serving for years. From his glove compartment, Bob pulled out his old FBI credentials. The badge was tarnished, the ID 12 years expired, but the authority was still there, still real. He called Riverside Police. "Detective Martinez speaking." "Detective Martinez, this is Robert Harrison, retired FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit. I'm calling about the Sarah Martinez missing persons case." There was a pause. "Sir, we appreciate citizen tips, but we have procedures." "Detective, I know where Sarah Martinez is, and I know who took her." Longer silence. "What did you say your name was?" "Robert Harrison, retired special agent, FBI BU. 25 years, 14 serial killer cases. And for the past 6 weeks, I've been tracking your killer. I'll be right there." 20 minutes later, Bob walked into Riverside Police Department carrying 2 banker's boxes full of evidence. Detective Lisa Martinez, no relation to the victim, Bob had confirmed, looked skeptical when she saw the man in the orange work vest and steel-toed boots. "You're the garbage collector who called?" "I'm the FBI profiler who happens to collect garbage," Bob corrected, setting down his boxes. And I've been building a case against your serial killer for 6 weeks. Bob opened the first box. Crime scene photos he'd taken during his routes, carefully cataloged and dated. Evidence bags containing samples he'd collected before disposal. Maps of his route with disposal patterns highlighted in different colors. Your unsub is highly organized, Bob began, falling back into the clinical language of behavioral analysis he'd used for 25 years. He keeps trophies, suggesting a psychological need to relive his crimes. The evidence disposal shows sophisticated tactical awareness and knowledge of law enforcement procedures. Detective Martinez leaned forward as Bob opened the second box. He disposes of biological evidence at 412 Elm Street every Tuesday and Friday. Chemical destruction materials at 158 Oak Avenue every Wednesday. Trophy items at 234 Pine Road every Thursday. Bob spread out his hand-drawn route map, marked with colored pins and connecting lines. The disposal pattern follows a strict schedule. He has regular, legitimate access to all 3 locations. His presence never raises suspicion because residents expect to see him there. Like a mailman? Exactly like a mailman. Bob pulled out a thick file folder. James Morrison, age 43, 8 years with the Postal Service. Route 47 covers Elm Street, Oak Avenue, and Pine Road. He knows every house, every resident, every routine. Detective Martinez studied Bob's evidence board. Photos, timelines, victim profiles, behavioral analysis charts. This is federal level work. Because it is federal level work. I spent 25 years profiling killers like Morrison. He's been hunting for months, possibly years. He thinks he's smart, spreading evidence across multiple collection points, timing disposals with garbage pickup schedules. Bob pulled out Sarah Martinez's damaged license, sealed in an evidence bag. He made one mistake. He assumed the garbage collector was just a garbage collector. How many victims are we talking about? Bob opened his victim profile folder. Based on evidence volume and variety, minimum 7 victims over the past 8 months. Could be more going back further. Morrison's been patient, methodical. 1 victim every 4 to 6 weeks. Long enough between incidents to avoid pattern recognition by local police. Detective Martinez studied the photographs Bob had taken. Why didn't you come forward sooner? Because suspicion isn't evidence. I needed proof that would hold up in court. Morrison's smart. He's been careful to spread evidence so thin that no single disposal site would raise flags. Only someone working the entire route would see the complete picture. And you've been working that route for 12 years. 12 years of learning his neighborhood. I know which houses have dogs that bark at strangers, which residents work odd shifts, which families go out of town regularly. Morrison picked his disposal sites carefully. Houses where residents wouldn't notice unusual activity. Detective Martinez picked up one of Bob's evidence bags. This is all going to be inadmissible. Chain of custody issues, improper collection procedures. I know, but it's enough to get you probable cause for search warrants. My evidence won't convict Morrison, but it'll get you into his house. And what you find there will. The investigation moved fast. Within hours, police had warrants for James Morrison's home. His basement revealed Bob's profile was accurate. Restraints, soundproofing, workshop photographs. 3 bodies were recovered, including Sarah Martinez. DNA evidence linked Morrison to 4 additional murders in neighboring counties. During interrogation, Morrison confessed everything. I planned it perfectly. Different disposal sites, timed with garbage schedules. Evidence destroyed in landfills where no forensic team would find it. Then how do we catch you? Detective Martinez asked. Morrison's confidence faltered. I don't understand. You underestimated the garbage man. Morrison's face went pale. The garbage collector was FBI. 25 years profiling killers just like you. The arrest made national news. Serial killer caught by FBI profiler working as garbage collector. Cable news shows ran the story for weeks. Morrison's defense attorney tried to challenge Bob's evidence collection methods, but the physical evidence found in Morrison's basement was overwhelming. 7 murders, spanning 14 months. Morrison received 7 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole. Most media coverage focused on the dramatic irony. The serial killer who was caught by the FBI agent he'd been unknowingly having his trash collected by for years. Bob Harrison became briefly famous as the garbage collector hero. He hated every minute of it. Monday morning after the trial, Bob clocked in at 5:15 a.m. as always. The media attention had died down, but something fundamental had changed. He felt like he was making a real difference again. The other sanitation workers knew now. That's Bob Harrison, veterans told new hires. Used to catch killers for the FBI. Still does, apparently. 3 months later, Marcus Wilson, a new crew member, asked the question everyone wondered about. Mr. Harrison, how do you know? How do you see what everyone else would miss? Bob considered the question. Training never really leaves you. 25 years of hunting predators doesn't disappear just because you change jobs. When you've spent half your life studying how killers think, you recognize patterns even in garbage cans. But you were retired. Son, evil doesn't retire. So the people who hunt it can't really retire either. We just adapt. Bob pulled out his phone, showed Marcus a text from Detective Martinez. Another case. After my route, Bob said, walking toward truck 47. Come on, kid. 37 blocks to cover, and people are counting on us. Because that's what protectors do. They show up. They pay attention. They adapt to serve wherever they're needed. They never really retire from a mission. James Morrison sits in ADX Florence Supermax prison, 23 hours a day in a concrete cell, probably still wondering how his perfect plan was undone by a garbage collector. The irony probably eats at him more than the conviction, outsmarted by someone he considered beneath notice. But Bob was never beneath notice. He was exactly where he needed to be. Some people think retirement means the end of useful years. Bob Harrison proves that expertise doesn't have expiration dates. A profiler doesn't stop seeing patterns. Training doesn't disappear. Experience doesn't become worthless. Purpose just finds new applications. Bob still drives truck 47 through Riverside's 37 blocks. Still starts at 5:30 a.m. sharp. Still carries that dented thermos of black coffee. But now Detective Martinez has his number on speed dial. Now the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit occasionally sends him case files to review. Now police academies invite him to lecture on non-traditional crime scene analysis. And now, every Tuesday and Friday morning when Bob makes his rounds, he's not just collecting trash. He's standing guard. If you know someone like Bob Harrison, someone whose past skills serve their present calling in ways nobody expected, share their story below. Hit like if you believe heroes adapt and evolve to serve wherever they're needed. The person collecting your trash, delivering your mail, or maintaining your neighborhood might be more observant than you think. Heroes don't always wear badges and carry guns. Sometimes they wear work boots and drive truck 47. Keeping watch over communities one garbage route at a time. Bob Harrison, sanitation worker, FBI profiler, guardian always, still watching, still profiling, still hunting predators who think nobody's paying attention. Subscribe to Unseen Heroes for more stories of ordinary jobs hiding extraordinary people. Because the person protecting your community might be wearing a uniform you never expected. Until next time, stay observant. Evil hides in plain sight, but so do the heroes hunting it.